Welcome back to More Better Golf. This is day 2, week 1. We're going to work on some stability. You don't need a lot. Golf club, you might need a mat for the floor. Just depends on your space. I'm in a hallway here, so I got enough space to do what I need to do. I got something to drink, towel in case I get a little sweaty. First, let's get warmed up. Reach overhead, reach for the floor. Today we're going to have kind of the same format. We're going to have 2 blocks, or 2 nines. Each one is going to have 4 different exercises. We're going to work about 18 reps for things. We're going to hold for about 18 seconds if we got a hold going on. Alright, second stretch for this warm-up. Get down on the ground. Push up. Stretch out our backs. Do a little upward dog into a downward dog. Just kind of back and forth. And we're going to work a lot on that midsection of the body today. That's what our stability is really about. We want that ribs to hips area to be really good at holding things in place when we need it to. So we want that all nice and happy and warm. The better we are at stabilizing in the middle, the better we're going to be at controlling how we swing a golf club. Alright, I'm going to stretch our wrists a little bit. We're going to do some stuff on our hands and knees today. So I'm going to put our hands down, fingers facing out. We're going to rock side to side and then arch our back up and down, rock back and forth, get a little cat-cow with a little wrist stretch at the same time. Be nice and efficient with what we stretch and what we warm up. Now when you turn your hands over, get the back of your hand down, stretch that a little. Just be gentle. I mean, that's a nice stretch, but we don't want to lean too hard. Go at different angles, feel where you're tight. We need our wrists to work really well. Next, we're going to do the old thread the needle. Reach underneath. Then reach overhead. Do a little child's pose. Combine the two of these. And you can kind of lean into where you're tight with this one too. Kind of find your spots that need the most attention to warm up. Get them ready to go. You don't want anything to be surprised when you start moving around, doing exercises that are a little bit more challenging. That's what the warm-up's all about. Get your body prepped. These are some good basic ones with what we're going to be doing today, but you can do them anytime. Okay. Oh, let's roll over a bit. Let's get to the front 9. Okay. First thing we're going to do, get on our back, knees bent, feet down. We're going to tighten through the middle. Think about firming it all up. Legs up, knees bent, arms up. We're going to alternate reaching opposite sides overhead. This is the good old dead bug, dying bug. You want to make sure as you reach, the middle of your body is staying nice and tight. It's not moving. You don't want to feel your back arch up. You can press it flat to the floor if that feels good. Makes you feel more stable. But how far out you straighten your leg or reach your arm depends on how that feels. So I could keep my knee more bent if it's harder. If I feel like I'm real strong and stable, I could straighten it out all the way. Or if I really needed more stability, I could just start with my feet on the floor and march it. So there's all different levels you can work at. So go with what your body is telling you it can do. You want to be challenged, but you don't want to push it too far. Alright, done with those. Now we're going to flip over. We're going to do some good old low plank forearm planks. Get yourself flat. Head, spine, all the way down to your heel should be a nice straight line. You should be able to put a bowl of water on your back and it just stays there. We're going to hold it for about 18 to 20 seconds. Now, if you're not able to see a timer, just kind of count in your head. We're going to do a couple of these Now you can do the classic, 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi counting if you want. But one little trick for this one is once you get here, squeeze your buns as tight as you can. That'll help line you up. If your butt's way in the air, you can't squeeze your buns tight. Pick a spot right about where your hands are held together and just stare at it. That'll keep your head in a good position too. Okay? Now we're going to get into some side planks, and here we've got some more options. So we can go knee bent on the bottom, give us a little more stability. We can stack our feet, lift up, gives you a little bit more challenge, but we want to make sure, again, straight line, head, spine, all the way down to your feet. You also want to be stacked shoulder right on top of your elbow. Then you got some different options about what you do with that arm that's not down on the floor too. So you can put it down on your side. You can reach up and scratch your back. You can even reach for the sky and put it straight up in the air if you want to. But you want to feel like your posture is good. So you can even do a little shoulder blade squeeze, just a baby one, just to make sure your back's lined up straight, plus squeezing your buns like the other plank. Okay, those are the 4, so it doesn't take too long. We're not starting out with a lot of time for each of these to begin with. But we want to be able to kind of prep that midsection so that we can get through all this. Excuse me, that was 3. Here's the 4th one. We're doing good old bridge or hip thrust. Lift, pause, squeeze. You want to hold everything tight, still through the middle. You should feel your buns and your hamstrings when you get to the top. But this, we're just going slow. So holding this a few seconds. We're doing 18 repetitions. We're going to be doing a lot of time under tension for those muscles. So we want to build that endurance up. It takes a lot of endurance for our body to be able to make it through 9 holes of golf or 18 holes. Definitely if we're walking versus riding. So up, hold, and lower. If you need to reset every time at the bottom, great. If you don't and you can keep that core tight, great, do it. We got multiple layers of muscles below our ribs and above our pelvis. We're trying to get them all to work as a good team. So we got to work them in different directions and different angles. This first week of stability workouts, we're just building our foundation so that week 2 and then into week 3 we can make all this stuff harder and harder. But you may be surprised. You may be a little muscle sore in there tomorrow or the next day. That is just fine. Okay, first set done. We're going to repeat them all. Second set. So we're going to get into our dead bug. You can pick your option. Find the challenge that's right for you. Get it all set, tighten the tummy, get it all firm, and then go for it. Go at your own speed. And depending on your space and what you got room for here, elbows may have to be bent. If you don't got enough room to reach straight overhead, that's okay. Just go slow. I mean, the tendency for these things is people want to rush through them. The slower you go, the better. Oops. Sometimes you mess it up. That was the same side. Reset, get back to opposite sides. And if you're like me, there's distractions in your house sometimes. Kids, pets, who knows what. You need to take a little pause and do something else and come right back. That's totally cool. Alright, we're going to get back to those planks. Down on the forearms. Now, if you can't do it from your forearms down to your toes, maybe that's just too tough right now. That's okay. You can drop to your knees and work from that position. But if you can get up here and get in that nice straight line, do it. when you're squeezing your muscles tight while you're doing this, you can think about the glutes squeezing tight, of course, to straighten you out. But you can also think about, am I squeezing my core tight, my abs tight? Can I feel those muscles firm while I'm breathing in and out? You got time, you're just laying here in a plank position. You might as well pay attention to those muscles, just squeeze them. Sometimes doing something like a plank just feels like it takes so long because you're not moving. Focus on your breathing, you'll get there. Okay, moving to the side. So side planks is a great way to work the core. It's much more of a challenge than those prone planks or those low planks, even a high plank. A lot less stability. Your body has to work harder to keep you from falling front to back and keeping yourself lined up straight. And as each week goes by, we'll use this position to add a little challenge in different ways. Now I like to start with my feet stacked and my knees bent, so when I straighten out and lift up, I feel like I keep my elbow right under my shoulder. I tend to find that if I don't bend those knees first before I lift, my elbow gets a little bit too high up, and it puts some bad stress through the shoulder. We don't want to irritate our shoulders by being in a bad position. It's definitely a lot of pressure through that shoulder joint. All right. Let's get back to our bridge. So I can see from this angle, tuck the heels in closer to the butt so your lower legs are more vertical. I'm even lifting my toes a little bit to make sure I'm getting a good squeeze through the back half of my leg. You can do that if you want. If you feel better keeping your feet flat, that's okay too. You can have your arms out to the side like I've got. If you want to put them across your midsection, that's okay. Out to the side gives you the opportunity for a little bit more external stability if you feel like you need that extra push into the floor. And we'll use this kind of position and different moves based on this bridge here and there to add different challenges. But this is a good, again, foundation. You got to start somewhere. Can't start with things that are too difficult, otherwise it's just going to make it less likely that you're going to be successful with it. So a lot of people tend to kind of rush ahead and get too far down with their exercise progression. They want to do the tough stuff right away, but you get to start with kind of easier stuff. That's going to make the harder stuff way, way better as far as form, quality, and you get out of it too, results. Because we want this all to tie together. And each of these different workouts has a different theme, and they're all going to work together to make sure that you get everything moving the way that it should. Parts that shouldn't move when you're swinging a golf club stay still. Plus we'll have some days that are a little bit lower intensity. The stability workouts a little bit lower intensity. Doesn't make it less important. Okay, good work. Now we're going to get to our first 18 swings of a golf club. So you want to get your club and find enough space. That's the other part of this component. You don't want to have too little space. Because I'm in a hallway here, I've checked it out. I know that I can swing a wedge or a mid-iron. I'm not going to smack my wall or break anything. But definitely do a little test. Oh, got room here, got room there, adjust. But then once you get set up, go for it. Make them good quality swings. If you need to practice a little bit slower speed, a little half speed, 3/4 at first, that's okay. one of the things that tends to happen for a lot of us that don't get to play every week or sometimes even every month is we haven't swung a golf club very often. And we need those repetitions of swinging the club like any movement pattern to make it feel smoother, make sure we've got the flexibility for it. We're going to swing 18 times, and we're going to do it twice in each of these workouts. So if nothing else, we're getting 36 swings, hopefully 36 quality swings every time we work out, so that the next time you go actually to a golf course or even driving range and you get to play, you feel like it's just a bit easier every time. It's a little smoother. You don't have to work as hard to get the rust off. It's going to make it way more fun that way too. You can use some visualization, think about a hole you've played before, one you can put in your mind. Think about hitting a good shot, approach shot, tee shot, whatever it is. Pick a target to go to so you're really swinging with purpose. Just kind of swing the club back and forth is okay, but if you swing with purpose, you're going to get a lot more out of it. Okay. We made it about to the halfway point here. We got the front nine done, did our first group of swings. Now we got moving on to the back nine. Now, this first one, you want to check to make sure you got enough space. We're going to do the bird dog. So hands and knees, tighten in the middle. Imagine you got a bowl of water on your back. We're going to reach with opposites. And I got enough room here at this angle that I can get arm and leg extended without kicking my wall or punching it. But again, the speed is important. If you go too fast, it's going to make things not as good quality. And if you need to pause and reset, getting a little sloppy, that's okay. Kind of retighten the middle. This is a good way to work that stabilization. And eventually we'll take this position and work in other things. So next, we're going to get set up in a high plank. We're going to do some shoulder taps. So you want feet wide, hands probably a little narrow. So you're setting up kind of a tripod position because you're trying to reduce the amount of rotation through the hips. There's going to be a little bit, but every time you reach and touch a shoulder, you don't want to feel like you got a big twist down through your hips. The wider your hands are, the harder it is. So narrow is a good starting point. All right. We're going to get back onto our side, that side plank position we practiced the first time. We're going to reach up high, and now we're going to reach underneath our armpit a little bit. We're going to get each side 9 times. So now we've got a little rotation while we're working on stability. So we use the front 9 side plank to get ready, and we're using the back 9 to make it a little tougher. And you definitely want your elbow right under your shoulder so you don't put too much stress through your shoulder joint in a bad way. And again, you can do the modification with, a knee bent underneath down on the floor for this. You want to make sure to squeeze your butt tight so it keeps you lined up. It gives you a little bit shorter span to have to support from your knee to your elbow instead of from your feet to your elbow. It's still a good challenge though. Once you feel like you're ready and you can do it from your feet, it's totally fine. Give yourself a challenge. Maybe you get 2, 3 or so from your feet and you're like, oof, I got to go back to my knee. Just go back to your knee. It's okay. Don't feel like you got to push yourself too much to make it too hard too. Okay. Next move. It's a classic. A crunch. Now we're going to crunch with purpose. Every time you lift up, you want to feel your abs right up the front tighten. Think about squeezing your ribs down closer to the top of your pelvis, right at the front of your waistline. You can also use your hands as a guide. Try to touch your heels, try to slide them closer. Now we need balance between front, side, and back of these core muscles. So we want to make sure we're working them all. Now this isn't a big range of motion move, but it can be one that's really tough for a lot of people, just to lift your head and shoulders.
Oh my gosh, my child.
Well, we did it. We made it to the last half of the back nine, set number 2. Okay, we're back to the old bird doggy. Tighten the tummy, get set on hands and knees, and reach. Opposite arm, opposite leg. Just stare at a spot down on the floor between your hands. Now I probably could slow down a little bit on this. I'm going a little bit fast. And if that fast meant that I got real sloppy with my lower back, great. I'd have to slow down, take a pause. Visualize something like a bowl of water. You don't want to spill it. Now we got our shoulder taps, feet wide, hands narrow, tight midsection. Try to minimize that hip rotation. There's a great shoulder stability one too. I mean, we're talking about a lot of core stability, but just all these plank positions. It's going to help improve the support system through your shoulder, your rotator cuff, and all the other support structures up above. All right, side plank, rotate. Now I'm transitioning pretty quick from one to the next. Make sure you can see them all. Another modification is you can just put your hand by your face so your arm's not straight in the air. Well, that's not necessarily easier, it's just different. But if you need to take a pause, you want a little longer transition, just hit pause, come back. I want to make sure that we get things done in 30 minutes or less. I know a lot of us, we got minimal time to be able to get through a workout. If we can be efficient, we're more likely to get it done on a regular basis and get more out of it. But let's say you got more time. Slow it down, pause here and there. It's okay. All right, we're cruising. Now we're gonna crunch it out. Get all set up with the knees bent. Tighten the tummy to begin with, and then lift. Squeeze, lift and squeeze. These are usually the ab muscles that people think about working the most because they're the ones that most people see, but you need to get everything. They all work as a team, they all have their roles, but they work together. Every time you lift and squeeze, you should feel that front of your body just get nice and firm. And this is one of the ones that can sneak up on you and make you sore when you go to get out of bed the next day or lay down in bed the next night. That's a good thing. Those muscles doing enough to get a little sore means you're changing things. Okay, we made it. Made it through the back nine. Let's grab a club and swing a bit. You can do a little check, make sure you got space. Make sure you're not going to smack anything that it's not supposed to be smacked. And then every time you swing with purpose. Now if your heart rate's up a little bit, you can always take this time to do some good breathing. Slow the heart rate. One of the things that tends to happen for all of us when we're playing golf is our heart rate may elevate, especially on that very first tee when we're playing. You can practice reducing your heart rate with some good breathing techniques. In through the nose, out through the mouth, slow and steady. It's another one you can use during your swing if you want. Coordinate your breathing, inhale, exhale, backswing, downswing and follow through. Maybe that'll help a little bit with your tempo too. I know there's a lot of things to think about with a golf swing. The more you can make things automatic, the less you have to think about things purposefully. Keep the mind a little more clear. But by now you should feel like, things are a little tired. You're getting closer to 36 golf swings now. Probably this is the point where some people start to get a little sloppy. Whoops, wasn't paying attention. Same thing happens out on the golf course. Well, take a pause, reset, go from there. Okay, second set of swings done. Doing great. Now let's just cool down a bit. So we just want to make sure we take all the muscles we worked and give them a nice little stretch. Now some people love stretching and want to spend more time doing it. Go for it. I'll just give you a few different options that may be good. We'll do our up dog, cobra, kind of stretching our spine into extension. We can get our head up and down, get our neck too, and then get into our down dog like we did with our warm-up. You can even alternate bending the knees, do a little walk the dog, get a little calf stretch more on one side than the other. Again, feel out where you're tight and stretch. You will feel better in the days after by stretching more. Less sore, feel less tight and stiff. It's one of the things that definitely does not get better as we get older. We do not get more flexible, so we got to work on it. So next we can try a little pigeon pose. Rotate the leg, swing it through. You can go down further depending on our flexibility. And getting some of the hip muscles we worked with. Planks and bridges. Should feel kind of around the outside of the cheek. Swing through, rotation in the hip. The back leg, we're going for straighter. This depends on your flexibility for sure. This may feel really good for some people. Now, if it bothers your knee, okay, because it's torquing around that knee joint too much, modify to something else. All right, I'm going to grab my towel for this next one. My towel's not super duper long, but I'm going to put it down around my feet. I'm going to use it as a helper to pull into stretching my hamstrings. That way I can get a little bit more pull. Now, somebody that's got tight hamstrings, that can work. I can touch my toes and grab my feet. So I can pull on my feet to get further into it too. But if I drop my head, let my back round forward, I get my spine. Now just staying in this position and get my shoulders. We did a little shoulder work, shoulder taps, planks. I want to keep the shoulder down, grab the elbow, and just kind of gently pull over and across. I don't want this arm too high up towards the face. It gets too much compression through the front of the shoulder. Okay, nice work everybody. See you next day. Our next workout we got coming up for day 3, power. Get ready to move.